culture of singing Jai Radha Madhava uh, before every class, because all of us are coming from various destinations. There is so much contamination of material nature. So we must bring ourselves back to spiritual consciousness so that we are able to do Shravanam and Kirtanam. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and already the Shravanam and Kirtanam happened when we just parked here and saw the bright faces of the devotees. And then we'll further dive into spiritual consciousness by starting with this Jai Radha Madhava song. Is that okay? Thank you very much, Vrinda Mataji, for initiating to bring me over here and associate with devotees. Very much I am reminded of the Dubai days when we were a little younger, and we used to have these Damodar Aartis. So sometimes it used to get really intense because we have like 4 to 5 programs in a day. One at 11, and then the next one at 3, and the next one at 5, and the final program at 7. So it is quite a transcendental challenge, because everywhere we go, we have to speak on the same subject. But my team members, the musicians and the karatal and the mridanga players are the same. So every time we have to tell the story from a different perspective. Otherwise the Prabhus will say, "Arey, ye Jugal Kishore Prabhu aayega, oi katha, oi sab kuch," you know. So we have to keep each other enlivened and also keep the audience enlivened. So that's a transcendental challenge. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to collect our thoughts and think of how to present the Damodar Leela in a different way. So I used to tell one of the musicians that today you talk for 10 minutes while I collect the thoughts. Before you start Kirtan, talk for 10 minutes to the audience. Prabhu, मैं कैसे कर सकता हूँ? Said, करो, because मैं नहीं कर सकता हूँ, वो नहीं होगा. So after 10 minutes, when we hear from the other devotees who are Kirtaniyas, then you are able to collect your thoughts and we are able to speak a while about the wonderful Damodar Katha. So today, in fact, in the morning we had another program, again in a destination that was unknown, completely relied on the Google Guru, and gave lessons also of how, if we have faith in the Guru, maybe a material example, but today also the Google did not bring me from the normal traditional route. It took me through some villages, and sometimes you start wondering, is it the right destination? But it brought me, because we strictly follow the Google's directions, and we have faith that the Google will bring us to the right destination. So, and of course for all this we need the huge mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara, and the Supreme Lord Krishna. So anyhow, by the huge mercy of the Vaishnavas, we get a chance to speak about probably the sum and substance of the Bhagavad Gita, which is Ananya Bhakti, or undeviated devotional service to the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. All slokas are important, but some slokas have special significance. So this is a very, very special sloka. So we'll sing Jai Radha Madhava and try to speak on the verse that is assigned to me by Vrinda Mataji, and then we'll see how it goes. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha नाम संकीर्तन की जय, भगवत गीता पाठ की जय, आज की आनंद की जय, समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर शिवानंदे हरि बोल। ओके, so today we are discussing the chapter number 9 of the Bhagavad Gita, 22nd verse. We all know that Prabhupada named this chapter as the most confidential of all knowledge, right? So, why is it confidential? So, it is available to all. The Bhagavad Gita book can be purchased of so many stores. You can read the Bhagavad Gita. So what's confidential about it? The confidentiality of the Bhagavad Gita is that the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is coming to us in the association of devotees discussing the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, and it is a matter of realization. And the realization comes only through the process of surrender. Yeah? The more we surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the more we understand the subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita. So, many times, I was quoting the example some days back about a very popular spiritual leader, and I was just reading about his life history. So, and then it was mentioned there that at the age of 7, he could recite the entire Bhagavad Gita by heart. Okay? But today, he is no doubt a very, very famous spiritual leader, but he doesn't speak the Bhagavad Gita anywhere. He only talks about meditation, he talks about consciousness, he talks about control of the mind, he talks about being happy all the time, okay? But misses the real subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because the aspect of surrender does not come. Yeah? When you surrender to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, then with the mercy of the Guru and with the mercy of the Sri Krishna, we are able to understand some aspect of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, who can understand the Bhagavad Gita? Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. Only a devotee and a person who is in a friendly mood with Krishna can he understand the Bhagavad Gita knowledge. So, from the 7th chapter until the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the aspect of devotional service is mentioned. Krishna gives us knowledge through the Bhagavad Gita on Karma Yoga in the first 6 chapters, and within the 6th chapter he discusses the process of Dhyana Yoga, and in the last 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita he discusses the Jnana Yoga, and then sandwiching in between these 3 systems of yoga discussed, he keeps 6 chapters sandwiched between the other forms of yoga on Bhakti Yoga. And how does he conclude the Bhakti Yoga or the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita? He says, Sarva Dharman Parityacha Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Masuchaha. Lord Shri Krishna, he is so kind. Whenever he gives an instruction, the instruction comes with a promise. He says, Sarva Dharman Parityacha. surrender all varieties of religion, which is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Kaitava Dharma, or cheating religion, Sarva Dharman Parityaksha, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Surrender, he demands exclusivity from all of us. Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, surrender only to me. And then if you do this, what does Krishna promise? Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. I will deliver you from all sins. Ma Suchaha. Do not fear. Fearlessly surrender, and I will deliver you from all sins. And what is that process of surrender? It is the process of Ananya Bhakti, or undeviated devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is what the sloka is in today's discussion. So the sloka is Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ejana Paryupasate Tesham Nityaviyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyaham Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ejana Paryupasate Tesham Nityaviyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyam. Such a beautiful sloka. Even Life Insurance Corporation of India used this Yogakshemam Vahamyam. Yeah? Ananya, having no other object. You can repeat.
Ananya, having no other object.
Chintaya, Chintayanta, concentrating, Mam on me, Ye those who, Janaha, persons, Paryupasate, properly worship, Tesham of them, Nitya always, Abhiyuktanam, fixed in devotion, Yoga requirements, Shemam, protection, Vahami, carry, Aham, I. Translation also with repetition. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Again, we are seeing in this instruction an instruction with a promise. Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. I carry out what they lack and I preserve what they have. Every time Krishna gives an instruction, he makes a promise also. Do this and I will give you this. Yeah? He is so merciful. So we'll read the purport of Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potency, which make a devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to the material condition of life. Shema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life. Okay. So, in this very chapter, the nature of Bhagavad Gita is mentioned. It is mentioned that it is Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Yeah. So, it is considered as the Raja Vidya, or the king of all education. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, which means the most confidential knowledge. Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Yeah? Pavitram, it is the purest knowledge that is being given. Idam Uttamam. Uttama Pavitram is the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Pavitram Idam Uttamam, Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam, Susukam Kartum Avyayam. Right? So what is Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam? We discussed it in the introduction, that this is a subject matter which is, the knowledge is given to us through the process of self-realization by the performance of bhakti, which is the topmost. Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam, Susukam Kartum Avyayam. Yeah? So we have to have a reality check if we are doing the devotional service in a very mechanical way. Guru Maharaj has told me, so I am waking up, I am chanting 16 rounds, yeah. Then he told me, please do Aarti, so then we go do the Aarti. No. It has to be joyfully performed. So if the joy in performance of Krishna consciousness is not there, then we must revisit our Krishna consciousness. There are so many aspects of Krishna consciousness. One may be, inclined to do deity worship. One may be inclined to chant more and more. Somebody else may be able to do something else, even if it is a crowd control during Janmashtami. That is the seva. Yeah? So whatever one likes, we have to engage in that type of service more and more to get that susukam kartum avyayam back. Some may be very good in doing the administration of the temple. So whatever it is, we have to joyfully perform Krishna consciousness. And when that joy is missing, then we must revisit and contemplate on what is going wrong and associate with devotees more to get that joy more in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So my favorite has always been to associate with devotees and have some joyful humor. Yeah. So whenever we meet Anukul Kishore and Madhusudan Prabhu, after time we are laughing, discussing Krishna and laughing with each other, and that is the way we get our Krishna consciousness enlivened. And it's very, very important to have buddies in Krishna consciousness. There's a devotee in Oman, age-wise we are similar, but then We are buddies in Krishna consciousness. Actually, he is senior to me. He is, you can say, the senior most devotee in the entire Gulf. He is the person who brought His Holiness Jayapratak Maharaj for the first time to visit the Gulf. And friend, and one day he called me and he said, Prabhu, I wanted to ask you something. I said, what is it? So, in case I am leaving my body, will you promise me that you will come there wherever I am and chant Krishna's holy name before I leave the body? So I knew that he was having some spiritual difficulty. So I told him, yes, Prabhu, I will come. But then there is a problem here. I'll leave my body before you, and I may be a 2 or 3-year-old boy by then in my next birth, and therefore you will have to get some devotee to find me and then come and meet you. So then, we had a laugh over it. Then I said, Bolo bhai, kya problem hai? Kyun ye sab baat kar raha hai? Then we had a Kukyam Akhyati Prachati, and then both of us felt a little light-hearted after that, and then life goes on. So everybody gets difficulties in Krishna consciousness, yes? But still we have to somehow get back that susukam kartum avyayam. Yeah? So in this verse we have read the purport, and then we see in the previous verses of the same chapter different types of worshippers. So ekatvena, pritatvena, vishvato mukam. These are 3 types of devotees which are being discussed. Who is ekatvena? He worships the Lord in a mode of oneness. Yeah? So that is impersonalism. And what is the result of that worship? We will not get into details, but then you can read chapter 12, verse 1 to verse 5. That gives us the answers to whoever is preaching, or rather practicing his spiritual life in the mood of ekatvena. Then pritatvena. That is, pritatvena are essentially the Devata worshippers, and so they are committed to their worship of Devatas, and then Vishwato Mukam. That is the Vishwarupa Upasana. They worship the gigantic and the greatest material form of the Lord in Virata Rupa. Okay? So, then also Krishna discusses another type of practitioner. They are not a practitioner because Krishna classifies them as mudas or perfect fools. So what is that? Avajananti mam muda manushim tanumashrita param bhava majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajananti, those who do not know me, I consider them mudas. Avajananti mam muda manushim tanumashrita. When I come in the human form, yeah, manushim tanu ashrita param bhavam ajananto. He never gets the jnana of the fact that he is param bhavam. He is the supreme being. Ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Yeah? So, and he will never understand that he is the Maha Ishvara, or the supreme controller. Yeah? So, in the next sloka he gives the fate of such fools as well. And then 13 and 14 describes who are Mahatmas. Yeah? Mahatmanas to Mam Partha, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. So the Mahatmas are people who take the shelter of the internal potency of the Lord, right? So So we all have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord directly or indirectly. Okay? Maya, when we take shelter of Maya, Maya is also energy of the Lord, right? So when we take energy of the, Maya, which is the energy of the Lord, that is an indirect, surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotees like to get into the internal realm or the direct realm. So the whole purpose of spiritual life is to move from the indirect to the direct surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, from verse number 22 till the end of the chapter, he talks about his own direct worshippers. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityaviyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So he talks about his own worshippers. These worshippers have no other object of worship and they perform exclusive devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Other devotees, they try to make many material adjustments, yeah. So when I was coming here, so Interiors Made Easy was the name of that shop. So there are so many adjustments which we can make to become rather use the material resources to make ourselves more comfortable. And that is a constant meditation in the minds of the materialists. Okay? And then further enjoyment was promised, Mall of Asia, right? So when we were going, when you go to the mall, what happens? Dhyayato Vishyan Pulsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Vijayate. So whenever we focus on the object of the senses, Dhyayato Vishyan Pulsa, Sangasteshu Pajayate, attachment develops. Does that give you happiness? What happens? Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kama, from the association or the attachment, Kama or lusty desires develop. Kama Krodho Vijayate. Because you cannot satisfy in this material body all the desires that we have, you develop anger. And then what does the next verse tell you? Krodha Bhavati Sammoha, Sammoha Smriti Vibramaha, Smriti Pramshat Buddhi Nasho, Buddhi Nasha Pranashyati. Krodha Bhavati Sammoha. The result of anger is Sammoha, total confusion. Yeah? Sammoha Smriti Vibramaha. Yeah? All our remembrance is completely finished. Yeah? Smriti Pramshat Buddhi Nasho. Once you lose all the remembrance and the knowledge, then Buddhi Nasho. The entire Buddhi is destroyed. Buddhi Nasha Pranashyati. So, the result of that is you get into the whirlpool of repeated birth and death. So, so material success is considered as he has arrived in life. He had such humble beginnings. He is a rags to riches story, which are all very good provided you use these riches in the service of Krishna. And none of these really give you happiness over a long period of time. Yeah? There are tensions, even if you make money, then the government is after you, the tax authorities are after you. So, there is problems, because that is also defined in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in the 5th chapter, Ehi Samparshaja Hoga Dukkha Yonaya Evate Adi Antavanta Kaunteya Na Teshu Ramate Buddha. So what is that? Yehi samparshja bhoga. So whenever we are after bhoga or indriya tripti, then what happens? The result is dukkha yonaya evate. Yeah? Dukkha शुरुआत है ये जब हम इंद्रिय तृप्ति करने के लिए प्रयत्न करते हैं. तो आदि अंतवंत कौंतेय इसका शुरुआत भी है और इसका अंत भी है. ओके. न तेषु रमते बुद्धा. एक बुद्धिमान व्यक्ति इस विषय में जूझते नहीं है. न तेषु रमते बुद्धा. If he is practicing ananya bhakti, then he does not contemplate on the matter of indriya tripti. So devotee's only business is devotional service, worship Lord Shri Krishna with ananya bhakti, and there are no insecurities or he is never envious of anyone or any situation. Yeah? So, what's that verse? Jiva Krishna Das e Vishwas Kora Dukkha Nahi. Yeah? If you become Krishna Das in this Jiva or lifetime, have Vishwas, yeah, that Koro Dukkha Nahi. There is no Dukkha at all. Because how does a devotee manage to do this? It goes against the very principle of material life. Yeah? So the whole material life revolves around one aspect. What's in it for me? ये अगर मैं करूँगा उसका मेरा लाभ क्या होगा? Will anyone of you go to your offices and work and say, Prabhu, I don't want salary, मुझे salary तनख्वाह नहीं चाहिए, मैं काम करने के लिए तैयार हूँ. So what's in it for me is the consideration of 99.99%. So how does a devotee go against the current and say, I don't want any of these things, because he has come with the realization that I am not this body. I am spirit soul. He simply operates on the the sloka from the Bhagavad Gita, Dehi nosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namukhyati. He remains dhira in the face of so many changes that keep happening in the material world. So, the pursuit of bhakti without any upadhi. Upadhi means designations. He is not conscious of any designations that he has. General manager, sales manager, I am Indian, I am American. So none of these designations are there. I am Brahman, I am Kshatriya, I am Vaishya. So none of these designations come to his mind, and he simply does ananya bhakti, which is the pursuit of bhakti, no matter what the obstacles are and what the problems are. Srila Prabhupada used to give the examples of Kunti Devi, who had so many obstacles. The Pandavas, they had so many obstacles. Look at Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, I feel that was Srila Prabhupada's favorite, He had a lot of obstacles, yeah. Imagine being a devotee and your father is the greatest demon of the entire world. And as mentioned in the purport, it is mentioned, what did Prahlad Maharaj say? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam. He is telling this to the chief enemy of Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu. What did you learn in school? He says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. You could have imagined how Hiranyakashipu is not able to tolerate the glorification of Vishnu in this way. Yeah? So we have heard that. Prabhupada even quotes the example of Jesus. Yeah? He taught so many good things, and then what is the devotees given? they nailed him on the cross. Prabhu has quoted this example as well. So whatever happens to the devotee, whatever obstacles he faces, he doesn't do any kind of retaliation or he doesn't protest against the situation. He considers it as the Lord's mercy. ये भगवान का कृपा है कि मुझे ये सब हो रहा है. Actually, जितना मुझे मिला है रिएक्शन, उससे ज़्यादा मुझे मिलना चाहिए था, लेकिन भगवान के कृपा से मुझे सिर्फ इतना ही मिला. He doesn't have any enmity and he's always, no envy at all, and he doesn't work hard for himself, but he works very hard for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rupa and Sanatana Goswami had such great upadhis, they were like the, Prime Minister and Finance Minister of the King of Bengal. But they gave up all that and they were satisfied in living in a small cottage, practicing their bhakti. But when a wealthy man came to them and says, I am ready to donate money, I am ready to donate ornaments in whatever you require, they started working very hard to establish a temple, right? So we were talking before the program about, in the morning I think, we were talking about Yadu Maharaj. When he went to the forest, he meets this Avaduta Brahmana, and he found that the Avaduta Brahmana is so happy, he's living in the forest, and we should not romanticize living in the forest too much. The forest has got a lot of difficulties, and used to city life, it's very, very tough life in the forest. There are insects, there are mosquitoes, there are snakes, there are, animals, wild animals, and so many things. But yet, Yadu Maharaj was astonished to see this, Avaduta Brahmana so happy and self-satisfied. He had a very effulgent nature. And then Yadu Maharaj asked him, who are you? You have absolutely no attachment to any of the four Purusharthas of Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So the Avaduta Brahmana says that I just follow what I can from the 24 gurus who have taught me, right? This comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the material world is full of the bodily consciousness, the caste consciousness, the family consciousness, and these are all very deep-rooted concepts in our heart. And for fighting this deep-rooted consciousness, it's only Prabhupada's teachings that can help. What are the three principal, things that Srila Prabhupada has given us in terms of scripture? Bhagavad Gita, the primary scripture. There are so many scriptures, and each scripture can look like competing with the other scripture. So, Bhagavad Gita gives the essence of all the scriptures as described in the 9th chapter. It is the Do you have the current problem here? Oh, that's good. How long can I go, brother? Today there is no work of eating, so I can go through. We'll discuss through the night. You have to practice on it. Anyway, I hope I can take another 15-20 minutes, yeah? So, the devotee has absolutely no fear and no enemy, and the devotee is happy in the palace, and he doesn't look for puja, la, pratishtha. Devotees have to be very careful, of your fall down. If you do well in your office, then they give you a promotion, they give you some increment, and then they call for an office party. सब लोग ताली बजाते हैं, yeah. But devotional service is very difficult. आते ही सब लोग, they fall at your feet, then they give you a high seat, vyasasana, and then they give you garland, puja, la, pratishtha. A pure devotee of the Lord never looks for puja, la, pratishtha. He always remains, as we quoted in the earlier sloka, dhira, for he is steady in all circumstances, and he is also a titikshava. He is tolerant of all types of devotees. So that's what the Vedas do. The Vedas teach us how to be really happy, and by keeping not just the body but also the mind and soul healthy, right? So that is what the Vedas teach us. So a devotee is completely absorbed. And what does the Shikshashtakam say? Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrasayitam sunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahene. A devotee in a moment of separation, yugayitam nimeshena, it feels like it is 12 years or more, just a moment's association. Yeah? And then chakshusha pravrasayitam, fears, it just tears start flowing out like torrents of rain. And then sunyayitam jagat sarvam, the entire world feels vacant without Krishna being present. Govinda virahena. So this is the mood of a devotee in separation from Krishna. So a materialist is, on the other hand, is completely infatuated with money and is always thinking of money all the time. Yeah, anyone he meets, he thinks of an opportunity to make money out of him, right? Whereas the devotee's consciousness is like Brahma's meditation in the Brahma Samhita, Chintamani Prakarasarnashu Kalpa Viksha Laksha Prateshu Suravira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhaja. A pure devotee of the Lord is always thinking of the spiritual gems in the spiritual world. Chintamani Prakara Kalpa Vriksha, there are a lot of desire trees in the spiritual world. He is always thinking of that. So he is also thinking of the Surabhi cows, the best of the cows, hybrid variety, super hybrid variety, Surabhis. Yeah? And by the way, whether it is the Chintamani or whether it is the Kalpavriksha and the Surabhi cows, all these three are desire fulfilling to the devotees. Yeah? And then he is meditating on Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Veksevyaman. Thousands and thousands of Lakshmis, or the goddesses of fortune, serving the Supreme Personality of God, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhaja. So the heart of the devotee is always carrying the waves of thoughts of Krishna. Yeah? So a devotee always experiences lauryam or restlessness in the matter of his attempts to worship the Supreme Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so restless, he was wondering that I am experiencing so much of pleasure in associating with Srimati Radharani. But it appears to me that Radharani is experiencing 1,000 times more pleasure than myself. What is it in me that gives so much pleasure to Srimati Radharani and the gopis of Vrindavan? Let me experience this mood. Yeah? So that was the internal reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the world, giving up his position as Krishna. He wanted to experience what the devotees are experiencing. Yeah? So he came in the complexion of Srimati Radharani. So that is the kind of loveliness that we must have to experience transcendental pleasure. Yeah? And get into the spiritual realm. When there is kirtan happening, we experience this for a very short period of time, maybe 30 seconds, and you feel that there is nothing that matters, and you just want to extend this. So that is the beginning. When you keep extending this from 30 seconds to 3 minutes to finally 24 hours a day, then you have become a Ananya Bhakta. So, Vahamyaham, yeah, that's one of the key words in this verse, where as a father, Krishna protects us and gives us what we lack, right? When a father finishes his work, then he's going back home, he thinks I must buy some small gifts for everyone in the family, yeah? So he's always thinking of everyone's desires. And that is what Krishna is thinking of as well. And it may be a small gift, like we have another example of Sudama. He did not ask when he went to Krishna, he was in fact shy. His wife had told him, you ask this, you ask that, we are so poverty-stricken, everything. But when Sudama went there, he did not ask for any of the affluence or any of the abundance that his wife had sought for. So he just wanted to perform Ananya Bhakti and serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Same is the case with and he got everything, right? Sudama got all the riches that he never asked for. And the same story of the fruit seller. So when Krishna comes, she loses it completely, She starts giving Krishna one by one all the fruits, and in the tiny hands, Krishna doesn't have place to even keep those fruits in his tiny hand, but still this lady is completely no other consideration. Just gives all the fruits to Krishna, and then she didn't ask for anything in return. It was Ananya Bhakti, but Krishna blessed her with the best of jewelry and the best of everything, riches that one can even accept. So is it all about Yoga Kshemam Vaham? They give you what you lack and maintain what you have. Is it all about money? No, the main activity of Sri Krishna is that your bhakti is protected and bhakti is given what you lack, and if you have bhakti, he maintains it. Srila Prabhupada's business completely collapsed. That is the huge mercy of Sri Krishna. Because his business collapsed, we are all sitting here. Okay? So, a great astrologer met Srila Prabhupada, and he blessed him and said, I see a great future for you, that you will be the richest person on the planet, and you will be the most famous sadhu ever. Yeah? Did that happen? Of course it did. He built so many temples for all of us, and he is certainly the greatest acharya in town. And then, another example is this is Srivasanga. So Srivasa, the associate of Srila Prabhupada, I was just telling Mataji that Srivasanga is compared to the Rasasthali. In Rasasthali, what happened? Krishna is dancing with the gopis. And what happened in Srivas Angal is that the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced with the devotees of the Lord. So he was doing all the Brahminical activities and he was leading the life of a Grihastha. Yeah? So what does a Brahminical person do? He does yajana, yagana, patana, patana, dana, panigraha. So he does yajana, he does yajnas, yajana, he teaches people to do the yajnas, patana, patana, he studies the scriptures and he teaches the scriptures to others. These are actually the activities a Brahmana should do. Yeah? And then he also does dhana. He gives charity to others. What charity can Srivas do? Poor Grahastha who had no other activity, he didn't become a computer expert and start going to an office and earning lakhs of rupees. But he did the dhana or the charity of knowledge with a mood of anipeksha or no expectation whatsoever. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wondered, hey Srivasa, you are a Grihastha and how do you provide for the family? Srivasa is a great example of Ananya Bhakti. There is no food and then you don't have any riches, how will you protect your wife and family? So Srivasa says, whatever I want for my family, I just clap my hands 3 times and say Hari Hari. And the Lord provides me with everything. Look at the confidence. Yeah? So if your family asks you, there is nothing in the house and you clap your hands, then you will get a clap on some other part of your face. Right? Go out and work and bring money. Don't tell me all these stories. But that is the nature of Ananya Bhakti of Srivasa. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then blessed him that even if Lakshmi ji or the goddess of fortune comes down and starts begging, if she becomes broke, comes down begging, you will never have anything that you want. That's a promise that Krishna made in this sloka. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it to Srivas. Of course, Lakshmi ji, who is the goddess of fortune, will never come to the point of begging. But sometimes to explain the Shastra, an element of exaggeration is done to give you the concept, right? So a devotee will never have, scarcity. But still we ask for money for building temples, yeah, for projects, to build goshalas. That is because we are advised to be Goshtanandi, preachers who will inspire to remove the kajana from yourself. Yeah? So that's the trick that we have been taught. Krishna is not interested in what you carry in your front pocket. What you are hiding in your back pocket, that's what he is after. And devotees help you to inspire you to remove the kajana. Srila Prabhupada, there are 3 types of devotees. One is a person who is in Ananya Bhakti. He has a natural spiritual attraction. And the other type of bhakti is the Vaidhi Bhakti. He cannot get this spontaneous attraction, but he follows the Yama and Niyama, chants the 16 rounds regularly, begs Krishna, please give me perfect devotional service. Now some cannot chant even the 16 rounds, the third type of devotee. So he gives his land, his labor, the money which he has in the service of Krishna. So all of these eventually will become pure devotees of the Lord. So in the first category, a spontaneous attraction, you can think of Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri is not even asking anyone for anything. Some of them will go beg for rotis in Vrindavan, yeah? And, they are all poverty-stricken, living in small cottages, and still somehow or the other, they just make rotis and give it to you. And extremely tasty rotis, yeah? So Madhavendra Puri would never go out as well. And he would just do chanting and in Govindakum, where he does his chanting. And suddenly a cowherd boy appears there and then gives him a pot of milk. Yeah? So that is Ananya Bhakti, where Krishna gives you what you lack and protects what you have. And what did he protect in case of Madhavendra Puri? He protected his bhakti and also gave him what he lacks. So he came as a cowherd boy and gave Madhavendra Puri a pot of milk. Another example of Ananya Bhakti is Arjuna, Arjunacharya. He's also called by some other name. So he gave a demonstration of, what's the last line of the verse? Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. He gave the example of Vahamyaham to Arjunacharya. Because Arjunacharya did not have this capacity to understand that he carries what you lack, right? So he was thinking, no, how can Krishna personally carry? So this Vahamyaham, he scratched off from the Bhagavad Gita, right? He says, no, Krishna will not personally carry and come and give it to you. So once he had gone out to do his chores, and two gentlemen visited. They were actually Krishna and Balaram themselves, and they got a whole lot of grains and food and everything. And they said, Mataji, this was actually given by your husband, and he has told me long back to give this to you, but I have not been able to come, and today he chastised us very badly, and he beat us with a stick, and he told, you go and give in my house. She was wondering, how could my husband do that? Then I said, you don't believe me? Then they removed their kurta, and you could see the marks on the back of the two boys who had come to deliver. And then she was very upset. Small boys, such effulgent boys, and the husband comes home and he says, oh Acharya, I never knew that you could be so cruel. You did this to the two boys just for some foodstuffs that they didn't bring on time to you. This is very, very cruel. I said, what do you mean? I didn't do anything of this kind to anyone. And then she says, yes, don't tell me lies. I saw the scratch on their back. So Arjunacharya was able to understand that it was Krishna and Balaram who came. And because he had scratched off the Vahamyam, yeah, so, it's like scratching the body of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are non-different from Krishna, right? So, look at the example of Jatayu, yeah? How this Jatayu's bhakti was protected. Life was not protected, but Jatayu's bhakti was protected. When the wings were clipped by Ravana and Jatayu was losing his life and lost his life, who came and performed the last rites? Lord Ramchandra came there and performed and took the role of the father. Proved that Krishna said, Pita Hamasi Jagato. Yeah? So he came and provided in the last rites for his dear devotee Jatayu. So, time and again there are repeated examples how Krishna does yoga kshemam vahamyaham. So, it should inspire us to increase our faith in Krishna and progress with our spiritual life with great enthusiasm, susukam kartum avyayam, yeah, joyfully perform, the devotional service. And then with this sloka, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paripasate Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. The instruction has been given to Arjuna on Ananya Bhakti, right? With that, Bhagavad Gita instruction is finished. Even if the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are concluded in the 9th chapter, it would have been complete in all aspects. Then why did he give the 10th chapter, the 11th chapter, and then the 18th chapter? Arjuna has completely realized that Ananya Bhakti is the way to go. So he is going to practice Bhakti after the instructions in the 9th chapter. But still, Krishna wanted to increase his pleasure, right? Increase his transcendental pleasure. Then in the chapter says 10, he explains the opulence of the absolute truth by talking about of all the Adityas, I am Vishnu, of all the stars in the sky, I am moon, Chandrama, and then of all the Vedas, I am the Samaved, and among all the slokas in the Samaved, I am Brihat Sama, and then he says of all the Devatas, I am Indra, of all the senses, I am the mind, of all the mountains, I am Mount Meru, of all the water bodies, I am the ocean. So he explains so many things. The glorification of the Lord is increasing the transcendental pleasure of Arjuna. So he did this as a seva to Arjuna. Otherwise, devotional service explained in 9th chapter, close the book, all instructions finished. But that's not the way Krishna does. He wants to increase the pleasure of the devotees. And then there are always people who are, they cannot think beyond matter. So therefore he explained chapter number 12, which explains the Virat Rupa form of the Lord, right? So they cannot think beyond matter. So he presented himself as Virat Rupa, which is the greatest material manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he did that. Arjuna didn't like it very much. He said, stop this. I don't want to see this Virat Rupa form. Please come back to your regular form as Sri Krishna, Shyam Sundara, the three-bent form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, 12th chapter he concludes with devotional service, and 13 to 18, he supposedly explains Jnana Yoga, right? But what is the conclusion of Jnana Yoga? Manmana Bhava, Mat Bhakto, Madhyaji, Maham Namaskuru, Mame Vaishyasi, again, Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosime. Do these 4 things and I give you Satyam. I give you promise. Yeah? So every time Krishna instructs, he is so merciful, he gives a promise of what he will do for you. And then finally he concludes in the end slokas, Sarvadharma Parityacha, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, Aham Tvam Sarvapapuryo, Moksheshyami Masucha. So if you really read through every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the underlying principle is bhakti. Bhakti and bhakti alone. So let's enjoy reading the Bhagavad Gita teaching others the Bhagavad Gita, and attaining the goal of life, which is going back home, back to Godhead, and performing Ananya Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, I exceeded my times, did you? So, any questions? Any comments? Finished? When there are no questions, I don't know whether to feel happy or worried. Happiness because maybe everybody understood everything. Worry is maybe people did not understand anything. People don't understand anything, there are no questions. Yes, Prabhu.
जैसे आपने बोला वो
हाँ जी।
अनन्य भक्ति जो भी हम 3 सेकंड के लिए और 30 सेकंड के लिए फील करते हैं तो वाइल चैंटिंग या कीर्तन या
किसी में भी हो सकता है ये। जब हम लोग जपा करते हैं तो कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि हमें कोई ईर्ष्या का भावना नहीं हो और प्रेम जागृत हो। कुछ समय के लिए हम वो हमें दिखाई देता है, लेकिन कुछ समय बाद फिर से आज ऑफिस में क्या होगा, ऐसा होगा, वैसा होगा। ये जो कुछ समय का, कुछ क्षणों का जो प्रैक्टिस है, वो जितना हम सिंसियरली चैंट करेंगे, वो जो सिचुएशन है, कुछ समय से कुछ ज़्यादा समय, ज़्यादा समय, ज़्यादा समय, and we have to chant with absolute humility. If we do that, then 24/7 हमें भक्ति प्राप्त होगा, अनन्य भक्ति प्राप्त होगा। वो चैंटिंग में हो सकता है, कीर्तन में हो सकता है। कीर्तन में कई बार हम एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं, किसी डिवोटी के साथ हमारा कुछ अनबन हो गया, लेकिन कीर्तन के समय में लगता है कि हम ये प्योर डिवोटी है, सही है? तो कुछ देर के लिए वो जो कुछ देर है उसे हमें एक्सटेंड करना है और 24/7 तक पहुंचाना है। और वो कैसा करेंगे हम लोग? एकमात्र उपाय हरे
कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
देर लग सकता है, देर है लेकिन देर नहीं है।
तो उसको रिकलेक्ट करके मेडिटेट करना पड़ेगा।
किसको?
वही जो जब हम फील किया जो मूवमेंट को
या
रिकलेक्ट करना।
या एक प्रूफ के तरफ है कि अरे वो जो फीलिंग मुझे आया 5 मिनट के लिए, तो एक तरीके का प्रूफ है कि हाँ भक्ति काम करता है। तो हमें भी कुछ आश्वासन चाहिए ना इस तरह का। तो इसके लिए भगवान अपना कृपा प्रदान करते हैं और वो जो भावना है कुछ क्षण के लिए सही हमें देते हैं। हरे कृष्ण। Hare Krishna. So thank you all once again.